The following podcast episode was recorded in Shanghai, China, after Radewoosh and I participated in the ICPC Challenge Championship in October. Had the opportunity to meet him and sit down with him to talk about practice, goals, and philosophy of competitive programming. Right after the recording, Mateusz participated in the Meta Hacker Cup Round 2, starting at 1 a.m. local time. Yesterday, he finished third in the world in the final round of the competition. Enjoy. Hi everyone, welcome to the second episode of the Competitive Programming Podcast. Today with me I have a very special guest. If you have not heard of him, you have been living under a rock. He's the former number one competitive programmer on Codeforces and the current number 3 at the time of this recording. To mention all of his achievements during the years, it would take this entire podcast, but just to name a few, I need to read this because it's a lot. He's the IOI and ICPC gold medalist. He's the winner of distributed Code Jam. He's been a finalist of Code Jam, Hacker Cup, Universal Cup, AdCoder World Tour Finals, Top Coder Open Marathon, and Algorithm. It's a lot. It's none other than Mateusz Radecki, more often known as Radewoosh. Welcome, thanks for giving us your time.
Hello, I'm pleased to meet you. And you did your research. I'm very impressed.
So yeah, I think everybody would first be interested to know maybe how you got here. How did you start programming and how did you start competing?
How I got here exactly here, or how do I got to the top 3 spot on Codeforces?
Let's start just how you decided to even try programming.
So I think at least in Poland, many people start in a similar way, like in previous schools. For example, for me in primarily and in the middle schools, I was good in math, maybe the best in class from math, and then going to high school, I discovered that there exists a programming that it's kind of a branch of math, and I discovered programming by like Olympic programming. We have Olympiad in Poland, and when I went to high school, my teacher was preparing students to it, and I started doing it, and I was good at it, and then I just stick to it for 11 years for now, and went pretty good during this time. So that's how I started. Like maths at some point changed to programming. And I think that's pretty popular in Poland, at least in Poland. I don't know about other countries.
Yeah, it was very similar for me. I just saw this exists and I should compete in it. So when was the point that maybe you noticed, oh, maybe I'm doing very good in this. Maybe I can like do the competitions. Maybe I can win them.
What was the
Was there some specific point when you realized that some competition or?
Yeah, I think at every path when you like try and achieve being the very best at the highest levels, then you had to like beat smaller size competitions of smaller sizes. Like at some point you had to be the best programmer in your class, then you had to be the best programmer in your school, then maybe if you're lucky in your like region, then maybe your country,
And then in the world.
and then in the world. For example, I wasn't the best programmer in my country in high school, but I managed to be a Polish champion in my university a few times. So it goes slowly. It doesn't like surprise you that you are one of the best in the world, but you slowly realize that you are getting better and better and better. And I think that's what motivates you to keep trying, because when you have small successes, you know that you have that practice makes you really better, and you can have bigger successes.
And what happens when you get to that kind of biggest success? So maybe we can talk about that time, like when you became world number one on Codeforces. do you remember before that, like specifically realizing at some point that you can like become number one?
Like at the first time when I went the first on Code Forces, I remember a comment that I wrote on Code Forces. I don't remember the specific situations. There were a few times that I was top one in Code Forces. They were like years apart. Uh, I remember that I wrote a comment somewhere that it took me. There was the exact time, like 6 years, something months, something days, blah 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 of practice to get to this point, but it was worth it, even if it's just a moment. So I guess I have to trust myself from that time, that comment, that it was worth it. Uh, but I kind of knew that getting to the top one spot on Code Forces doesn't mean that I'm the best. It means that I can compete for being the best. You know that ratings on Code Forces are really fluent. They don't have like that much. I mean, of course, if you are first for a moment, then you have to be good, but it doesn't mean that you will regularly win with others. So it wasn't that point when I like saw that hit my head. I still knew that there's a place to improve.
Yeah, and it's a tough field. Like it's very hard to stay at the top. Um, so what you mentioned that these small victories motivated you. What has motivated you since? What is there that you still have not won that motivates you?
Oh, there are a lot of things that I haven't won yet. I'd love to win some open uh, international competition. Like I have, like you mentioned, I won distributed code jam, and was, I don't know how to say it, lucky to win that. I mean, of course, I had to perform really well to do that, but I think every time there is at least a bit some factor of luck involved into who's the winner, because somebody might the problems more, somebody might like the problems less. So winning another like big international contest, maybe not distributed but a standard one like at Coder would be definitely very good to achieve. That would make me keep going. And also, I don't know if you noticed, there is a new rank on Code Forces to get. So I think everybody is sharpening their gloves to get to it.
Yeah, that's exactly one of the things I wanted to ask. So that new rating or ranking lit up a fire, I think, in many people.
Yeah.
So do you think when you get to 4,000, it will be called Radewoosh for you, or maybe you will become tourist?
I think that as for many people, it might be nice to that it's called tourist. Then for us, like for me, Jangli or whoever is very close, Gennady is not considered as like a okay. He is very good. He's the best. We know that, but we consider him. We know him. We consider him as a friend. So uh, when you will overtake him and became that top one for a moment and get that 4,000, I don't know if it's that nice to be called by his nickname. I think that that ultimate grandmaster, for example, or something was good. Like maybe there should be this title. Like I think so.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully, this is temporary, and I'm sure we'll see more 4,000s in the
Don't
near
get me wrong.
future.
As long as he has it, that's of course his time. It can be called tourist, but maybe in the future, if somebody ever makes the same.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people that maybe watch this, I think they see him as kind of this unbeatable legend, but for you, he's a colleague, he's a friend, right?
Yeah, I've realized that at some point you you realize that nobody is truly a genius. Everybody is just very good. Like we all practiced a lot and we got to where we are, and you realize that people stop doing like unimaginable things to you. Like everything that they do, you start seeing it. Oh, yeah, it's doable. If I would practice very very good and I would have a very good day, I would also be able to do that. And I think that when you like look at the all code forces rating, you can kind of build this equality between every two neighboring people in the ratings, which actually makes everybody by induction equal to tourists. So like I think that's yeah, everybody is just nobody is genius, nobody is like more okay, maybe we are a bit like more and less talented, but nobody is has a like nobody is a real genius and unbeatable. So
Yeah. So you heard it. If your rating is 940, you're basically tourists.
yeah, by induction,
Yeah.
remember.
I think that's the thing to take from this. And is there some kind of pressure when you become that number one, or when you have to defend a title or something like this, or burnout that happens like from this pressure?
I think surely there is. I think Gennady skipped a round or two since he got to this rank. So maybe that's a sign that this pressure exists. Uh, I think it's what examples did I have in my own life of the pressure? Um, I think maybe um, when like I don't know, weaker, or maybe we like less experienced people see you as the uh, as a legend, or however you call it, Gennady. You know this difference between how you see him. Then for sure there are some people who see me as unbeatable because they haven't practiced enough or so, uh, and they can have some expectations of you. I think it might create pressure. It doesn't have to. If you are good in dealing with pressure, then it shouldn't. But sometimes it's not nice to like disappoint them. But also I think what we are trying to do is to maybe not kill the expectations, because you want them to like you, want them to cheer to you, but like tell them that you are also a human being. Like you just came through a long path, and they might do it also, and you uh, maybe want to like win and perform good to inspire them and not to let them down. So maybe that's a kind of pressure that exists.
Yeah, and I can say on my side that I remember when the first time it was that you crossed Gennady to become world number one. I think it was after a time where Gennady was really dominant for a few years, and he was first for a long time. And I remember just like checking the results after the contest and seeing, oh, it has happened finally. Now it's going to be more competitive, I think. So yeah, I see that it's very weird because we're in a kind of small community, but still like for maybe those people which are better, like you do have like these people that actually care about your result, I guess. Um, so you mentioned that you had this goal of 4,000 and many other goals, and you've previously talked about on Code Forces about your philosophy for practice, and we'll share that blog in the description. And you mentioned that improving and getting better requires really for you to change your life around competitive programming. How has competitive programming changed your daily life in that sense to accommodate it for practice? And has it your view and how it affects your life changed over the years?
I wouldn't say that it really changed my life. Like I started really practicing it in high school, so I wouldn't say that it changed my life. I would say that I kind of grew with it. Like it may make more sense. Like I grew to really enjoy it, to have time for it. Uh, and I wouldn't say that it has to change anyone if he wants to start later than me. I would say that uh, like if you start a hobby, if you start, I don't know, fishing, and you like to go to fishing like every second Saturday, and you wouldn't say that it changed you. And if you like start being better and more fluent, and it starts making you you want to make it more often, it doesn't really change you, but you somehow adapt your habits to make place for what you like. And I wouldn't say that it really um, changes you, because in my opinion it sounds a bit negative, and I really like that part of my life. I liked being like programmer, mathematician, however you call it, and I don't regret it. Surely, I think that it's a really nice adventure. I'm still up to this day traveling and meeting new people. Like now, that's really great. So I'm like very grateful that this path exists, and that I'm on it.
Yeah. And what does your practice look like nowadays?
Nowadays, I have to look for myself for uh, new goals to achieve. Like some time ago, I don't know if you seen that I achieved a goal to finish Project Euler. That was something that I worked on for a long time. Nowadays, I'm kind of not that freshly, but my previous competition was at Coder World Finals, and uh, I didn't win. Let's put it gently. But it was also an opportunity to meet friends, maybe older ones, not new ones, but that's also great. Uh, and I'm hoping to get qualify next time, and I'm hoping to get better. So I'm absolving at Coders recently and waiting for the next year to see what will come. Like if will I perform better or so. And also by we I mean me and my two friends from Warsaw, competing in Universal Cups, which happen every Saturday. So like today, unfortunately, I wasn't able to participate with them, but normally once a week we gather to compete, to practice, and to also qualify to the cup finals. So that's also a regime. Uh, Probably I'm not competing as much as in, I don't know, high school, like previous years of university when I was still eligible for ICPC, because I think for everybody this time runs off when you have to like do other things. But I still try to find time and place to practice. It still enjoys me.
And do you still find that you can find even inspiration and new ideas in these maybe easier problems, or do you only look for these hardest ones which can help you improve?
Oh, definitely, I can be amazed by an easier problem. Like harder ones, the fact that they are harder might come from like there might be different reasons that they are harder. They might be like deeper. They might be more more cooler tricks, but I see no reason why cooler tricks might be restricted for harder problems. That's no, definitely easier problems might be cute, and that's the good word for them.
Yeah, and you're really one of these competitors that really participate in many contest types, from Olympiads to later ICPC. You're also doing marathons, ICPC challenges. You mentioned Project Euler. From all of these types, do you have some that maybe you like more than the others, and do they help help improve one in another?
They definitely help improve and others. Uh, for sure, when doing many of them, you kind of learn how to think out of the box. Like when you have to adapt to each of the types of the problem, you have to find creative ways to maybe omit some boundaries, some borders, maybe to cheat a little bit. So that's moim zdaniem really transferable. Uh, what was the question?
And do you maybe have some format that you prefer?
Do I have my favorite formats? I think on-site competitions, uh, like any type, are the best. Also, I think, like when you asked what's my favorite thing in competitive programming, I think it's getting accept a few minutes before the end. So on-site, it's even more powerful. So I would just say on-site competitions of any kind.
But for some specific ones, do you, for instance, prefer to compete in a team or individually?
Team or individually? I think I don't have a strong, like both are fine, both are. I think in a team you might be, yeah, I think in a team you are more relaxed, you have your friends, so I think it's less stressful. I think it's less stressful in a negative way, but the stress might appear, but it would be changed into something good by the fact that you have two friends around you. So I think I should say team competitions are better. It may make sense.
And you've also recently we've had in the competitive programming community kind of these attempts in like these newer formats like lockout. I believe you participated in the first lockout championship. So do you have you been thinking about this? Maybe do you have some new idea or something?
We surely had some new idea. By we, I mean like Polish community. I don't know if we formed something exact. You should have asked me like an hour ago to check if I have something written. I think maybe some like tiny modifications to lockout, but I don't know if we had something like new. So I don't know now. So it would take too much time. Like maybe I would invent something new, just trying to think to find what we think. So I wouldn't give you nothing now.
And then to enter a more philosophical area, I think we've kind of touched on it. So, what what do you think really talent is, and how does it affect maybe one's path in competitive programming?
What do I think a talent is? Maybe if I tell you that I consider myself rather uh, focused and ambitious than talented, it would kind of be an answer to your question. I think that the fact that I was like really non giving up and trying to solve more problems, even on my very beginnings when I had no idea how to understand the simplest algorithms like DFS or something like that. I think that the fact that I think that's like the non-giving up part of me took mm, well had an important role, not the talent. Like I consider myself in this way, so maybe that's the answer. That's the not giving up and just pushing forward is the most important part, and the talent might help you. It might make things easier, but not giving up is the most important part. And I think most people, if they fail, they miss that. It's because they give up. Maybe not give up momentarily, but probably they slowly try less and less, and I think that's the problem. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people kind of use it as an excuse, like maybe I'm just not talented. I can never become grandmaster because I'm just not talented in these things. So, yeah, so you heard it here. So consistency and hard work. And so do you believe that everybody can become a grandmaster, for instance?
Do I believe that everybody can become a grandmaster?
Even in
No,
practice?
no, not because I believe everybody would be able to not give up.
Mhm.
Uh, that's a fact. I think like it's built in, kind of built in a character, but as I said, I think people mostly fail not because they are not talented, but because they give up. But I think many people, like many people, who are able to achieve like lower ranks on code forces. I don't know which one to name. They would be able to go way further if they wouldn't give up. So I think I can tell it in this way. Not that everybody can be legendary grandmaster, but that almost everybody could push way further. Like even including me, I like to think that's about me, that I can always push further and further. Like I still have things to learn. That's maybe I'm just too lazy to do that. That's why I try to still practice and motivate myself. So if I can tell it to myself and push even further, then maybe everybody can.
Yeah, and I've heard it so many times, like, oh yeah, I reached my peak and I'll never get better, and
I was never at my peak. I still want to go forwards.
yeah, to 4,000 at least, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and now I want to get into a more maybe topic that will not be familiar to newer competitive programmers, but I remember maybe 5, 6 years ago you wrote a series of blogs called Blogewhoosh, and uh, maybe nowadays they are not so known, but at that time I think it was really something that was needed because it was kind of very rare to find these blogs which are kind of in the middle. Either most of them were too easy or they were some crazy convolutions. Uh, and I think I really enjoyed this Blogewhoosh blogs. I even have a personal story. Maybe I will say it later. But I wanted to ask, like, what did you see that made you kind of want to start this series, and how did you choose what you talked about?
I think it was the period of my most intense growth in the terms of skill. I think I was preparing to my first World Finals then, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, so so I was learning many new things, and I felt that I was like bursting with my own interpretations of stuff and some observations and cool ideas. I wanted to share them, and I think it was really cool. It gave me like the feeling that I'm sharing something with the community, but it requires work. It requires to get these new ideas, and maybe sometime I will return. Maybe I will uh, share something with the community. I think like maybe around this time I also started caring more about Polish competition, so I got another way to like share with community. So maybe that's one of the reasons I stopped like enjoying okay, maybe I still would enjoy writing Blogowshes very much, but you see what I meant, like this need of sharing something with community was satisfied. So probably that's why I stopped, but it doesn't mean that I won't share with the international community again. Like I'm still an active active member of this community. So I guess that's like my my lessons for younger folks will still appear from time to time.
So you're saying there's a chance we get Blogewhoosh 8 at some point?
There is a change. There is a chance that you will get something better, but I don't want to spoil it now.
Okay, we can't wait in that case. But yeah, I do think that most people that get good kind of get this wish to contribute. I think a lot of people maybe do it through like local competitions or problem setting or stuff like this. We're kind of trying to contribute through through these interviews, trying to kind of build a community around these people which have built it so far. Uh, so yeah, I have, like I said, I have a story about it. I was on a competition when around the time where Blogewhoosh was coming out, and it was the International Olympiad of Metropolises in Moscow. And I remember I was very close to gold, and I just needed to get maybe 50, 60 points on one problem, and I didn't get it. So I got high silver, and then I came out, and my best friend basically said, maybe he didn't use these words, but he kind of said, "Are you an idiot? Blogewhoosh wrote about this. Radewoosh wrote exactly about this thing 2 weeks ago." And yeah, if I had read it on time, maybe I would have had gold there. But yeah, it was one of these, I think, square root decompositions on tree. Yeah.
Like still up until this day, like from time to time, I get this thanks Mr. Radeusz and some comments on Code Forces when something uses one of the Blogewhoosh ideas.
Yeah, and it's honestly been very unique because it's really hard to track these kind of ideas because they're not really algorithms in themselves, but they can be repeated. They can be.
I've touched this issue on Code Forces some time ago, and I think Mike Marzojanov touched it. I think there is a list of useful blogs on Code Forces, which might be Blogewushes, which you said, as you said, are somehow in the middle. They might be easier ones, they might be harder ones, but I think a list of blogs useful in this way exists. I haven't like properly searched for it. I haven't like read it fully because it contains really advanced stuff. But I think Mike wrote something about it, so I would have to check for it, and that should be very nice. Like you just reminded me about the existence of this stuff. I forget for about a few years. So
Yeah, and I think there are now these great initiatives that like contests where the best blog that gets written in the next month gets some prize money and stuff like this. I think this is great, but I think maybe there's some issue to kind of select what is right for you. I think we've also had a lot of discussions on Code Forces about the Umnix things I don't know and stuff like this. It's kind of hard to know, like. When is it time to learn something that is better than just maybe practicing some problems? Do you maybe have a comment for that?
I think like for most of people, learning an algorithm looks this way: that you sign on a contest, you don't solve this problem, and then you learn this algorithm. And if you are lucky, on the second try, you already solved this problem because you learned on the first time. If you are less lucky, then you need a few other times to finally master it. And rarely, if you are really lucky at the first time, you have an idea about it. But I think most of the times you come across a problem, you really try, but no, and then wow, there exists an algorithm. So and yeah, everybody is kind of mad when it turns out that a problem is about an algorithm that they don't know, and they can be mad, of course, but that's how it works, and it will work like that. So I wasn't even math last time, because it still happens for me. Like it happens for everybody, just on different levels. For somebody might not know priority queues. I didn't know something about, I don't know, polynomial interpolation, magic stuff. I don't. But it happens for everybody, and that's why we learn. So when you see any stuff, just learn it. That's my comments. That's the best I can advise.
And I was very paranoid about this in high school when I was preparing for Serbian Olympiads. I would just go through the syllabus before and read everything and kind of try to learn it. And I think that was the worst strategy ever, because then you start seeing it everywhere. Kind of like when you have a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail. Uh, so yeah, don't do that. But yeah, try to find a balance. So one more thing I wanted to talk about is you mentioned a lot maybe how your professor pushed you in this direction and your friends, and in general I think Polish community is known for being very well developed in competitive programmers. You have very many legendary grandmasters, medals and everything. How much do you think, because in Serbia we have this issue where we don't maybe currently have that kind of history and that knowledge within the local community. We're starting now to have it, but how much do you think having someone that maybe did it before you, something maybe not first on Code Forces, but maybe Gold at IOI or something like this, how much do you think that helped shape your goals?
Oh, it definitely did. At the very beginning, it was like the biggest motivations was to beat a guy at the same age as me. So he started learning way before me, uh, and he won Polish Olympiads when we both were in the first class of high school. We had three classes of high school then. And like my first goal and motivations was to catch up to him, and I almost did it. I was second in my final year. He was first, so I was close. But it very much motivated me to go further. I've even noticed that I think everybody except tourists starts to like work less and possibly even give up if at their big day, if at their moment they managed and they won. Like I think really, if somebody won an IOI, for example, then we have less chances to meet him as the first person on the Code Forces, for example. That's really surprising. That's my observation. And about returning to your question, yeah, for sure, having older friends helped me a lot. They were able to teach me the algorithms if when I needed. They were able to sometimes organize camps for high schoolers, and they are now my opponents or my teammates. So I've catched up to them, but definitely having older folks is very useful.
And what would be maybe your advice for somebody that doesn't have this? Maybe they're from a country that maybe they're the first competitive programmer there.
I think try in the internet. I think if I remember correctly, the first times one guy from Poland was teaching me about stuff. It was through internet, so it didn't really help. It wasn't really helpful that he's also Polish. It wasn't really helpful that it's uh, that he was like in the neighboring city, but he just helped me. He just taught me about one problem, and I think that competitive programming communities should be very useful. Like I think there's a Discord server about Code Forces. Maybe trying to meet people there would be a good idea, or on code forces. I don't think that DMing Grandmaster is a really good way to go, but like trying to generally hit into the community is a good idea. I don't see why it would end bad. Like people will help you. So yeah, I think that's the way.
Hmm. And recently we've had, I think, a lot of developments in the community. First we had like the pandemic, which caused a lot of cancellations of on-site finals and generally on-site competitions. Now we're having this whole revolution with AI and everything going on, and I think a lot of people are maybe scared that competitive programming will change in a major way. So how do you see competitive programming in maybe 5 to 10 years and your place in it?
5 to 10 years is a very tough question. Competitive programming is very young itself. Like, okay, maybe 10 years ago it was similar to what it was 5 years ago, but I think how old is it? Is it like 30 years old or something like that? It cannot be much older.
Like 35 years old.
35, yeah. So like 5 to 10 years is a long time on the scale. But about pandemics and I think that pandemics surely had an effect on international competitions. I think the biggest one on Google Code Jam and Facebook Hacker Cup, because they stopped making on-site competitions, and Google Code Jam got cancelled, unfortunately. Let's hope that Meta Hacker Cup will still exist, and let's hope that it will become on-site again. But I don't think that everything will die. For example, at Coder World Tour was also meant to be organized like shortly before after the pandemic started, but it started and it got cancelled. I remember my Polish friends, he already got tickets, and then it was cancelled. It was very bad, but it was yeah, it started again after the pandemic, so it didn't mean then that it died. That it died, and we are here now. So there are new companies that are doing something to start the on-site competitions again. So I don't think that we are doomed in this case. The competitions still happen. That's not very bad. And about AI, I'm skeptic about AI. Like, okay, it might solve easy problems. I get it, but until I see it solve like it didn't really surprise me yet. Like, I know how it works. I know that it's how the transformer, like the model AI model inside works. Like more or less, of course. I think parts are like a mystery, or I mean secret. And it doesn't really surprise me. I mean, its level. So maybe when it will surprise me, then maybe I will change my point of view and fear it more. But for now, I think that it's kind of limited. That it won't be able to go very high. Like, it might solve some data structures problem, but it won't have good ideas, like new ideas, and people might have good ideas, and that's an advantage. So I'm not really that scared of AI. And about AI helping to code, I don't know. I haven't tried personally. I've heard that it's really nice. I don't know if you tried like some plugins to IDEs.
Recently, I was very surprised. I think it's really getting better. For instance, in debugging, that was one thing that I was very surprised about. And I, in general, really like debugging. I know that's a very rare statement, but I think that is maybe one of things that will change greatly in the
Maybe, yeah, I haven't thought about it. It's makes sense, and I think I would be okay with that. It doesn't sound like it would kill the spirit of computer programming. Like, I think that person will still have to be the core, the giver of ideas. So maybe we'll have to change the type of problems a little bit. Like the problem setters will have to, but I think it'd be alright. But I'm prepared that maybe I will be surprised. That maybe I will have to cancel all my words, but it hasn't happened yet. So that's it.
And where do you see yourself in this competitive programming world in 5 years?
In the same place, I think. Like, I'm feeling pretty fine, like hanging around top 10 on code forces. I don't think that anybody will be able to like be stable in top 1. Everybody will have to have worse periods from time to time. And I like being in the top, like still growing because the world still moves forward. We still learn new tricks, new algorithms, new problems are being created. So I'm good where I am. And I don't want to really move. Maybe like a place or two up, so that being even better. That's what I want to do. I still want to improve, but like generally the direction is good for me.
Thank you, and we'll be cheering for you, I think, in the coming years. Since you'll be here, we'll be here, and we'll be rooting. Thank you again for giving us the time for this.
And thank you for inviting me. It was really fun. It was really nice to be there.
Yeah, and now, if you like this discussion, consider subscribing. Comment your thoughts maybe about the thing that we discussed today. Give us a like, and I'll see you in the next discussion.